Very good morning to all of you. Understanding employability as a fresh graduate is our topic from Simple Skills. We want to keep it very simple to all the young minds. There are a lot of assumptions about how and what they need to do in their initial years of picking up a job. So before you even utter the word as to why and how I want to fit a job, we are here to tell you very clearly as to what are the aspects that you need to know beforehand approaching any institute or any company which is trying to offer you a job. So on that note, we would like to quickly take you through what our vision is. Simple Skills is a learning academy which has a very simple vision. We want to ensure that whosoever is part of this learning academy gets clarity about what they want to be in just 6 months. And that is done through immersive understanding through offline classes. We want to handhold you. We want to take care of every aspect that you have, in your hands right now, from the academics to the corporate world. We'll fill the gap for you. Yeah, this is one aspect. The second thing that we would like to mention to you is about COSET. There's a practice portal for you readily available where you can do self-assessment about how and what you could prepare for yourself. And then there is Enboard, which is a platform for fresh graduates. It will ensure that all of you fresh graduates get an opportunity, a window to find yourself, have an opportunity. So that's Enboard for you. And we have next step, the anchor and the concept creator, Mr. Akshay Vallabh, also with us, who is running a YouTube channel, which will help you understand the various other professions which are in hand. But before you take any step, know the challenges from the domain experts. And that's the core objective of next step. Now, let me introduce the main man who has come together and put this wonderful platform for us, Mr. Ram Kumar LK, who is the founder of Simple Skills. His vision is extremely beautiful to make young India, which is not just talking well, but also does the job well. So for that, there are certain aspects that we'll be discussing about, and I'll open the forum to Mr. Ram Kumar LK, the founder of Simple Skills. Ram, the floor is yours.
Yeah, can you share the PPT?
Yeah, Basu, could you please help us? So Mr. Ram comes from a background of being a programmer, a software developer himself, who understands various aspects of how a career could be built. So keeping those aspects in mind, he would, we are very sure that you will have such wonderful pointers to know from the gentleman right away. Yeah, go for it, Ram.
Okay, good morning, everyone. And thanks for joining on a Saturday, which is predominantly a holiday for corporate world. And for some of the students, it might not be a holiday. Once again, warm welcome to all of you. We will try to go one step by step. We made this a webinar into a 3-stage process. And the first stage, we are talking about academic world versus corporate world. Yeah, Basu, can you change the slide? Okay, so let's look at this concept. Most of you are very familiar with academic world. And we were also coming, every one of us also have come from the academic world because we finished our engineering. I did my BTech from NIT Warangal, and every one of us, every experienced person has come only from the academic world as of now. And we entered into corporate world, and we understand what is corporate world and also what is academic world. So we want to make the whole thing much more simpler for you, so that when you understand the corporate world, you can prepare well for getting your first job. Okay, that's the reason. Now, the first topic that we're going to cover is what is academic world, what is corporate world, what are the major challenges, etc. Okay, so I think I should have control. Okay. So before we understand the major difference between academic world and corporate world, we all need to come onto a common place, understand what is knowledge, what is skill, and what is competence, and which one is relevant in academic world and which one is relevant in corporate world. So we all know the corporate world definitely likes the academic world, and academic world likes the corporate world. So we have multiple stakeholders here, and students who wants to know what is it, and parents are concerned about what is this, my kid needs to get into a job, and student wants to get into a good job, and college wants their students to get a good job. And here corporate wants to hire you. Okay. Every corporate comes to your college, every corporate interviews people only to hire. They have more need for making you a job worthy person than you wanting a job. So now let's understand what is knowledge. Any concept that is there, you understand that concept and you are able to remember that concept. And this is what we call it as a knowledge. Okay. So let's visualize I'm little overweight. If I'm overweight, I know how to reduce my weight because that knowledge is available across. I have to reduce my intake, and I have to do my exercise. I have to go get up early morning and do for some exercise. So this knowledge is available. Okay. But what is skill? Skill is basically with this knowledge, go and start running every day morning. If you don't know how to run, you have to learn running. Okay, skill is any activity that you do. Knowledge is any concept you know. Any concept that you know is knowledge, and skill is any activity that you do. So most of these activities end with ing. So swimming is a skill. Playing is a skill. Okay, walking is a skill. Running is a skill. Cooking is a skill. So all these come under skills, and programming is a skill. Okay. And communicating is a skill. Writing is a skill. So most of these words which are ending with ing are, we call them as a skill. Okay. We can group them as skill. But now understand, how does a skill come? Okay. Does the skill come very easily for us? Or is it something which you can read and learn about a skill? Absolutely, you cannot learn a skill by reading or by watching or by somebody teaching you. Okay, you will not be able to gain a skill. Unfortunately or fortunately, and most of the academic world, okay, always measures you based on the knowledge that you have. The exams that you have are always to question what knowledge you have and measure your scores, etc. But corporate world is absolutely on skill. What you can do for me, okay, what skill you have, how can I use that skill to deliver a product or service to my customer and convert your skill into a commercially viable transaction. Okay, this is the major difference between academic world and corporate world. On one side, knowledge is very much essential. Okay, and your degree and academic scores are very, very important for you to get a job. But the measures that corporate world looks at you and tries to check whether you have employability or not is about your skill. Okay, so now let us look at, I want to hire one cook. Okay, so in my home, I want to hire a cook. What do I look at it? I have two candidates, candidate A, who knows about all types of curries, okay, and what ingredients go into it. And he has watched as many videos as possible and has never cooked. And there is another person, B, let's call it the person B, and he has not have any degrees, okay, he has not studied all of that, but he has been cooking for the last 1 year, okay, rice, curries, okay, etc. Whatever is available there, he has been cooking. Do I hire the person who knows cooking or the person who has extremely good knowledge about cooking? You can put a question and then immediately you get the answer saying that we typically tend to recruit the person who knows cooking, and definitely not the person who has a lot of certificates on knowledge certificates on cooking. Same thing. So whether you are having a Mercedes Benz or Maruti 800, if you are looking for a driver, do you recruit a driver, okay, who has driving license, and also he knows all the driving, what are elements are there in the driving seat, and he has watched as many videos as possible on the how to drive well, or a person who has driven the car for the last 1 year, 2 years, he has been trying driving. So whether you are a 800, very small car like an 800 Maruti 800, or a very expensive car, you tend to prefer to recruit a person who has driven the car, not the person who has extremely well knowledge about driving and he knows and he watched as many videos as possible. So this is one basic criteria which the students needs to understand, that it is skill which is preferred, but however, academic credentials are essential. If you don't, so look at big companies, they say they will only go for tier 1 colleges. Okay, that means the very thing is saying that if your college is great, okay, I'll come. And then if they come to your college, they say, hey, do you have 75% marks? If you don't have 75% marks, you are not eligible to apply for my job. So entry point, definitely you have to concentrate very well on your academic world, get good scores in the academic world, and do whatever is the college says, etc. But when you get the opportunity, but the choice of whether you get selected or the next person gets selected depends on whether you have practiced any skill, okay, with interest, and you have that knowledge about the skill. Okay. So try to understand what is skill when you acquire a skill. And we need to understand that every time you acquire a new skill and you get introduced to new vocabulary. What is this vocabulary? So let's say I'm willing to recruit a programmer. So if you on your own have installed MySQL database and created a few tables, you have not done any experience, you don't have any experience, but at least on your own, you have gone to a MySQL database, which is freely available, downloaded and created some tables, inserted some data into it. Then when I ask a question, I understand whether you have the knowledge about the database or you have literally had worked on, practiced on MySQL database. Simple thing. So I say, hey, can you create a table? So you will be able to write, create table. And with that information, you will be able to put all the syntax automatically when you have experienced and practiced the skill. So this is what is the corporate world looking at when somebody, they want to recruit some fresh graduate there. So now let's understand what is this competence. Okay, so when you want to understand competence, so companies are not going to look for competent people from fresh graduates. They look for skillful people, but not competent people. So competence is a combination of knowledge and skill and experience or exploration mentality there. So you have a skill and you have a knowledge. Now, let's say you have driven a four-wheeler, okay, you have driven Innova. So all these things, okay, if you have driven multiple cars, then you become a competent driver. When you take your first role as a driver, so you are skillful, but once you go and travel across the state, across the country, you know how densely populated roads you have driven, okay, and dot roads you have driven, okay, and then when you are suddenly, when you met with some sudden things coming up, you put a brake on it. So all that becomes your competence. Okay, competence comes by experience of yourself as well as continuously learning about other people's experiences. Okay, so when I went first time to Ooty, so when I learned through a driving school, he said, okay, you have to go in first gear. Whatever gear you go on while going up, you have to use the same gear while you're coming. A lot of people don't know. When you're coming down the slope, okay, you put second gear, third gear because you're speeding up. But the rule is, if you are climbing up on the slope, if you're using second gear, while coming also, you must come in second gear, because you will lose your brakes and your all these things. You will be in bad shape if you don't use the second gear. So this only comes with competence. It doesn't come with experience only, it comes. So that's the reason. So anytime you have a job opportunity, you need to look at it. You need to prepare for the skills and go there. But once you get the job, you build your competence. Okay. So one thing that I want everyone to take away here is knowledge is very essential. Academic world measures you based on the knowledge. And also it gives you a lot of opportunity to bring skills on board. Okay. But corporate world respects from freshers the skills. And when they ask questions, when they look at your resume, they always look at whether you have put an extra effort to learn that skill or not. Okay. So I think this is what we can conclude at this moment, saying skill is acquired by practicing, knowledge is acquired by reading, and knowledge is supported. For example, when a teacher is teaching you, she's trying to explain the concept and she's trying to help you to get your concepts correct and acquire your knowledge properly. But in skills, you do a lot of practice. Okay, so when you're learning a bike or when you're learning a car, so you always want, while learning, you always want to go and practice it in the early morning, late night, with somebody who knows it, with the driver. So all that practice is what is required to acquire the skill. Okay, but if you want to apply that skill, you need a job and continuous learning where you can acquire the competence. Okay, this is where I would like to make everyone understand that it is the skill that can fetch you a job. Okay, your first job can come easily if you concentrate on your skill rather than acquiring as much knowledge about the skills that are required. Acquiring knowledge about the skill is not enough, but only doing it and practicing it and acquiring the skill is what every employer is looking when they're trying to interview a fresh graduate.
Great. So that was wonderful, Ram. I think one of the major reasons why Mr. Ram is trying to touch base on simple things like cooking, car driving, and things like that, those scenarios are easy to conceive. We want to keep it as simple as possible. So on that note, Akshay, could you please throw light on why skills play an important role in employment?
Absolutely. Thank you, Prashant. So before I actually dive into this topic, a warm welcome to all the participants, all the enthusiastic participants. All right, and Ram has given wonderful definitions about skills, competence, and knowledge. All right, would you please bring up that line? Yeah, perfect. All right, let's start with this line. Let's see what it states. It says the capacity to learn is a gift, the ability to learn is skill, and the willingness to learn is choice. So what a beautiful line. So there are different categories of people in this on this earth. You know, the first category of people who have the inherent ability to learn things faster. They have that's a God's gift, right? So they have the inherent capacity to learn things faster. The second category of people, you know, they have the ability to learn, but they need a little bit of push. The first category do not have to try too hard, or to they don't need to be pushed too hard to get things done. But the second category of people who have the ability to learn, but they need a little bit of push. Okay. And the third category of people, the most important, where most of the people belong to, is the willingness to learn. See, the third category of people may not have the first two qualities, the capacity or the ability, where most of the people lack, right? But there should be a willingness to learn. I feel if there is a willingness to learn, if you have a choice to embrace learning and develop the necessary skills, then I think you have ample opportunities on your way. Also, I would like to bring in the next step example here, since I have interviewed so many experts on my next step platform. One thing which I have noticed, the common factor for satisfaction among all the experts whom I have interviewed is their commitment to skill building through dedicated time. You know, by investing the right amount of time in honing the skills needed for your desired career, you can actually open the door to happiness and financial freedom. So time is actually a very magic ingredient. It's a key ingredient. If you look at the other lines, so probably if you can bring up the slide. Yeah. So it states, when it comes to mastering a skill, time is a magic ingredient. Remember, this time is a very critical factor. See, what I would say to all the young audience here is make the most use of your free time by actively working on improving your skills. See, you could be a recent graduate looking for job opportunities, or an undergraduate with the dreams of fulfilling career, or I would say a professional looking to switch the career, switch the career paths and start everything new. What the key important factor is the skill building. So that's a key ingredient. Remember, it's not about the time you spend, but rather the quality and focus you put in developing your skills. Let me tell you a very interesting story here. Probably most of you might have heard about it, but let me just bring it as a context here, to bring in to fill in that context. Okay, there were two woodcutters who run into a race. Of chopping the tree and see who is going to do it faster. Okay, so there are two big trees. So these two woodcutters, they carry their axe and then they start, get into a competition of chopping the tree. The first woodcutter, without thinking twice, without wasting even a single minute, starts chopping the tree. Okay, the other woodcutter just, he just takes a breather, just sits down, relax. He'll just relax, and then he'll observe the axe. He'll look at whether the axe blade is sharpened, whether it's blunt, the structure of that, and then he'll realize, okay, so the axe is not sharp enough to chop the tree. So what he'll do is he'll take a break. He'll just go sit. He'll spend some time in sharpening his blade. Okay, and then he comes back and starts chopping the tree. Within few minutes he'll be able to cut down the entire tree, while the other woodcutter is not even halfway through. Okay, so what does this actually indicate? This states that you should avoid the temptation of rushing into something due to, it could be because of peer pressure, or it could be a financial strain, or any other external factors. Don't rush into things just because you don't have time. Sometimes you will have to dedicate the time to improve yourself, to understand where you stand, how you have to sharpen your skills, which skills you have to improve, stuff, right? So instead, what you have to do is exercise that patience, devote yourself to sharpening your skills. Yes, it might look that it's taking time, but in reality, it is not. You're actually, putting all your efforts in sharpening your skills, and the rewards what you would get is worth it. So I would say, with patience and proper dedication, the efforts will undoubtedly be paid off. Okay, and also I would like to bring in my next step references here. So I've interviewed a couple trainers who are architects, Nishchit and Pooja. So you can go through the next step video. You'll understand. These two architects, they have stressed upon points. In fact, all of the experts whom I've interviewed have stressed on skill building. I'm particularly bringing this because they have mentioned about how skill building is important. They say, in order to build skills in architecture, obviously you need to have a degree in architecture. But along with that, you need to develop the skills of thinking out of the box, which is very essential for their field of work. And then you have to think out of the box to bring in some value add to the customer, to the clients. And also you need to have that sense of creativity in you. And you should have the problem solving ability. See, these are all the skills which are built over a period of time. When it comes to architecture, they say that these are the skills which they have developed over a period of time, and they have achieved in getting more customers, more clients for their projects. And on the similar lines, I have interviewed a yoga teacher who has undergone rigorous training on Hatha Yoga and Isha Foundation, and she has developed these skills by attending the training. And now, she is an expert yoga teacher, and she has a yoga studio of her own. She runs her own yoga studio and she teaches yoga. She's an expert. She has gained a mastery on yoga. Right. So, in conclusion, what I say is skill building is a very essential factor for everyone. Build your skills. And as Ram also stated, learning it's a continuous process. Can you just move on to that slide? Yeah. So learning is not actually stressful. I'll say learning is fun. Every learning is actually fun. It's not at all stressful. And being relevant is very, very crucial for everyone. There was a company, I'll give you an example. There was a company called Nokia. I think, I'm not sure if this generation has heard it because they're totally non-existent now. Nokia was the first to create a cellular network in the world. They were world leaders in cellular network. In the late 1990s and early 2000, Nokia was a global leader in mobile phones, right? And the company overestimated the strength of its brand and believed that it could actually arrive late into the smartphone race. And they could still win, compete, and then still win. You know what happened in 2008, a year after iPhone release, Nokia finally decided to compete with the Android phones. Okay, but it was already late because other Android phones had already taken over. So you know what? They finally were pushed out of the market, and their products weren't competitive enough, and they became totally non-existent. See, that's when your relevance becomes very important. How you have to keep up with the technology, how you have to keep up with the race, your competence matters a lot. Okay. So with that, I would say yes, being relevant and having that continuous learning process will definitely take you far. It will give you a lot of rewards.
Wonderful, Akshay. So what it finally underlines from both the gentlemen is that skill is something which is very clearly proportionate to the amount of time that you invest. So on that note, there is something to cash on. I think Ram will take us through the next slide.
Yeah, so okay, so let's look at skill is now considered in the corporate world as the new currency. Okay. And with this new currency, if you have skill, you can exchange that with your currency with the companies. Okay, there is no going back. It was not like 10 years back, 20 years back, where you are respected for your experience and your scores, etc. But today, you are respected if you have skills, and companies are willing to pay the actual currency to exchange for the skills that you have. And most of the companies nowadays are turning, you may not be aware of it. A lot of corporates are no more having a very big, huge hierarchy-based organizations. They're having skill-based organizations. Okay. And it's not like, okay, I report to a team leader reports to a project manager reports to a vice president reports to somebody else. That kind of hierarchies are getting churned off in the corporate world. And today people respect how much skill you have. And skill is not proportionate to the number of years you have experience. Okay, so try to understand this. It is not the number of years experience that you have, but it is purely the kind of practice that you have done and kind of experiments you have done on the skill matters a lot to you. So I'll give you a classic example in our own company. And if you find a person is skillful, okay, and if the person is having good amount of competence, we put them in front of the customer and give them an opportunity to learn customer-facing skills. So the more skills that you have, the more opportunities you get to acquire more and more skills. So unlike people maybe I'm not too sure how the academic world is thinking, our students are thinking, skill is not one in IT world. So I come from an IT background, but it is true for any background. So any software development work that you want to do, it doesn't depend on one skill. So we typically say you need to have about 50 to 100 skills. So we're a web development company. So we need HTML, we need CSS, we need JavaScript, we need advanced JavaScript, jQuery. Okay, we need Sugar CRM. Okay, we need LampStack. Okay, we need Linux skills, Apache skills, MySQL skills, debugging skills, communication skills, and domain knowledge skills. The skills that are required is almost like 50 to 100 skills is what is expected if you want to become a good developer. That's the reason the more skills that you acquire, even post getting the job, it is the currency that you can exchange for. But what is competence? Okay, so the next slide, can you go to the next slide? So competence is the higher denomination of the currency. With skills, you can start your job, and over a period of 3 years, you can acquire as many skills as possible and build competency. And that competency can give you massive money. It's a new denominations. So if you're expecting a good amount of money to be acquired, okay, so you need to look at first 2 to 3 years, you should concentrate heavily on acquiring skills and experiences so that becomes a competence. And when you are a competent person, there will be multiple people coming to you to give you a job. Okay, so you need to understand, I want you to take this skill is the new currency and competence is the higher denomination. Skills can be acquired without having a job, but competency can be acquired only if you have a job. Okay, and competency, I will give you much more elaborate definition of this. So let's say you got stomachache, a very common example. You got stomachache and you go to your hospital. Okay, and from very early childhood, you have been seeing one nurse who is working there.
Right.
Will you go to the nurse and ask, I'm getting stomach pain, can you give me a tablet? Or will you go to a doctor? Okay, even though she is very skillful, she has been continuously, consistently doing all the work, she's just skillful. But with knowledge and continuous learning, the doctor becomes a competent person to give you a solution for your problem called stomachache. Okay, and this is where the difference comes. So if you have skill, you will definitely be able to get a job, and definitely companies are ready to give you an opportunity. And once you get the opportunity, your life should be on how do I become competent person rather than just skillful person. So to become a competent person, you have to acquire knowledge, you have to acquire skill, you have to learn from how others have solved some problems, how you are solving in your own job the problems. You have to apply here and there. The doctor is continuously learning what are the new diseases that are coming in. Okay, he learns about what is the new medicines that are coming in. Okay, and he learns from the other doctors how they solved a complicated accident or how they solved a complicated multi-disease problem. So these things, because he is able to continuously update, he becomes a professional doctor, and you go to the professional doctor for your problems, not to the nurse who is skillful, experienced, and has got long association with you, good relationship. Even then, you don't bend. Even for simple fever, you go to the doctor, not to the nurse.
True.
Okay.
Just to add on, Ram, I think what I'd like to bring in is a quick case study of one of the greatest cricketers India produced. I'm talking about Rahul Dravid.
Yeah.
So the young Rahul Dravid walks into the Indian team. Eventually, he's taken as someone who's extremely good for Test cricket, plays the Test cricket well. Then he's picked even for the one-day international. And it's a serious failure because he lacked the skills to play that format of the game. So the young man never gives up on the dream, goes back and plays Ranji Trophy and becomes the highest scorer in the one-day international format, as in terms of one-day cricket format. Then comes back to international cricket and probably retires, called as the wall of the Indian cricket team. So if he was there, we knew that the other players could play around. So what essentially I'm trying to communicate is Dravid had the knowledge, he honed the skills through the process, and then became the most competent person in the cricket team. Now, this is exactly should be the journey of yours, because tomorrow you could be a wall for your colleague. You might be the most important player in your team. The entire team will enjoy the success of your efforts. So develop the attitude of doing it for all. It's not just about you. And that's where I think Ram will take us furthermore in terms of what can be the kind of attitude towards this and what are the companies really look out for in each one of you when they want to hire you. Please go for it, Ram.
Absolutely. So let's say you have a good skill. Okay, so let's visualize you struggled hard during the college days and you install some open source technologies and you learn some programming and you learn from your friends, etc. You built your interest. You have gone to some other websites to challenge yourself on the programming skills. You acquired a very good skill. Now, attitude comes into play. So let's look at, I will take once again a very simple day-to-day example. You have both husband and wife are going for a job and now they afford a cook. They recruited a cook. Cook comes from a good reference saying that she's extremely good at cooking in Karnataka style food. And she also cooks Andhra style food. And now you hired the cook. Okay. And your time starts, you have to go to office by 9 o'clock and 8:30 you should start from house. And by 8:30 you should eat your breakfast and also pack your lunch and go. Both wife and husband needs to go. Now, where does the attitude play? So there is one, this cook, extremely skillful, but once in a while she says, I don't feel like cooking, I don't come. I come late. Okay. Instead of coming at 7 o'clock and start cooking and finishing by 8 o'clock, she comes 7:30. By the time she cooks, it becomes 8:30. And sometimes she doesn't even inform and doesn't come when you call at 7:30. She says, I'm not feeling well, I'm not coming. Okay. Sometimes she says, okay, I don't feel like every day cooking this Karnataka food. I want to cook North Indian food. This is where attitude plays well. Okay. If you are skillful, but if your attitude is not towards delivering the results that company is expecting, or if you show that I'm very great skillful, yeah, whatever I do is correct, that kind of an attitude, if you exhibit, and definitely it is the killer for you. The companies don't recruit people who don't have good attitude, even though they are rated very high by the technical team as highly skillful. But when they're observing about your attitude, let's say you argue with the interviewer, you're arguing with the HR person, you're defending whatever feedback that they're giving. These kind of things, if you exhibit in the thing, they understand that as an attitudinal problem, and you will be rejected even though you score 100 out of 100 from all the technical teams. So the reason being, corporate world survives on delivering results. Okay, they take money from customers and we have to deliver results to the customers because there is a legal agreement between the companies and customers. And when we have people who have attitude, who come late to office, who deliver late, or who says, okay, it is not interesting for me, I don't feel like doing it. This kind of an attitudinal, whatever I do is correct, even though if somebody else is giving you input. So this kind of an attitude will hamper the deliveries of the customers. So companies don't prefer. So that's the reason when you go for a job, in your first job, build as much skills as possible, as many skills as possible, but at the same time, build an attitude. Okay, build an attitude to do the work, have humility. Okay, it is called intellectual humility. Companies look for intellectual humility. The moment you are skillful, I'm skillful, pay me this much money, etc. If you keep asking, many companies will walk away from you, even though they diplomatically maintain a good relationship with you and say thank you for coming, etc. But at the end of the day, it is the attitude which can decide whether you get a job or not. So you need to, to summarize this, you need to have good academic scores. And with that, you need to build at least 20% of your time you need to spend on skills, but develop an attitude to serve other person, because employability is about serving the company's customers. And who are going to serve the company's customers? It is the employees who serve the customers of the company. You are joining that job or you are planning to join that company to serve customers. Okay. And that is the reason attitude matters a lot.
Okay. So wonderful, wonderful. So Akshay, if you could throw a little light on attitude matters, that would be really helpful. Can we just go back to the slide, please? Thank you. Yeah.
All right. Attitude is one such factor, but what I would like to stress more on is focusing on the opportunities and not on the the amenities or the perks when you start out on your first job.
Yes.
Well,
Change the slide to.
yeah, I think probably you can change the slide. Yeah.
Okay.
Basu, yeah.
Right. Okay. As young graduates, I know you would be enticed to work for big companies which pay you big fat salaries and which have big infrastructure, all luring with so many facilities, so many benefits, right? But what I see is basically when I examine when they examine the early stages of all the experts who have interviewed in their early stages of career, they have primarily focused on seizing an opportunity to learn and grow in their areas of interest and not on the monetary gains. They have never looked at monetary gains, but rather they have looked at the opportunity for themselves to learn and grow in their areas of interest. Basically, they look at building a successful career. They feel that building a successful career goes beyond the financial considerations. Yeah, I understand financial stability is undoubtedly an important factor, but what's more important is the grabbing the opportunity and developing your skills and competency through a job. Okay, so that becomes a foundation for your long-term career success and your personal satisfaction. I'll give you a simple example. Today, we all know who Satya Nadella is. He is the CEO of Microsoft. But do you know how he started his career? Do you think he had a fancy job as soon as he started his career? No. As an young graduate, he started his journey as a staff engineer in Sun Microsystem. Okay, and then where he joined and built his skills over a period of time. He worked there. He honed his skills. He improved his skills. He built his skills. He learned a lot of things. Okay, over a period of time, and then he moved to Microsoft. And again, in Microsoft, he was not given a fancy job. He was not given a fancy position, big fat salary and stuff. No, he joined Microsoft with a not with a very great position. With
Very
this knowledge
humble
and
start,
skills.
you say. Very humble start.
Very humble start. Yes, absolutely. So, he joined there in Microsoft also as an young engineer, working on, interactive TV products and, working on the Windows operating system and stuff. And then constantly by leveraging his skills, he grew up the ladder. Okay. Same thing with Sundar Pichai, CEO of Google. They did not all start with, being in a very high position, starting their career with a very high position. No, they seized the opportunity. They wanted an opportunity to grow, to enter, to grow, to, learn the skills, and then automatically the money follows them, right?
So basically, there is that hunger from all of these guys, is what you're trying to say. The hunger to go and get it. Yeah, wonderful.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Right,
so
right.
Ram, if you could help me now understand the topic that we have picked. The second topic is job and opportunity. Now, Akshay covered what's an opportunity and how hungry people latch onto it to grow their skills. Now, if you could just throw light on, why have you said a gift? What do you mean by a gift here?
Yeah. So when you have a skill, okay, when you have a skill, the skill needs to become competence. Okay, the skill can only become competence, okay, if it is applied in real world scenarios. You need an opportunity to apply your skills on real world situations so that you become a competent person, you become an experienced expert in certain area. So absolutely take an example of a doctor. And in doctor world, okay, if you go and check most of the doctors who have done MBBS and in dental, etc. In doctor's scenario, if there is a hospital and it is little away from the city and less number of patients are there, they get doctors the fresh interns who work in those kind of hospitals get more salary than the hospital that is having more patients. Okay, we can go and check everywhere, wherever there are more patients. The doctors choose, MBBS aspirants choose the the medical colleges which have got hospitals next door, which have got more patients coming in, the ones that are very far. There are many hospitals, okay, so away from the city, etc. But you don't get an opportunity to see more patients. That's the reason the hospitals that are having more patients pay very less internship stipend than the hospitals that are very far. In fact, if you ask me for numbers, the hospitals that have got more patients pay around 10,000 kind of a internship after finishing MBBS. And the ones that are there away from the city, they may pay anywhere between 20,000 to 30,000. And in fact, if the clinic is having more patients and they charge the student to pay money and do internship so that they gain massive experience on the skills that they have. So that's the reason your first job is a massive opportunity, okay, to apply your knowledge, apply your skills and make that into competence. And it is never a job that fetches you money. Your first job, first 3 years has to be an opportunity, and post that also, depending on what kind of a career you want to go ahead, you will choose the right opportunity to again improve your skills, okay, and make them much more robust. Okay, that's the reason job is an opportunity and it is not a gift to evaluate, okay, are you giving me this much, or is your office is in a posh area, or is your office having a canteen, or am I getting a sign on t-shirts? Okay, these are all, when you look at job as a gift, you look at all those things and be proud that my company gave me t-shirts, my company gave me has got a lunch free, okay, and the tea is 24/7 available. When you're talking about all of these things, you are thinking that job is a gift. Okay, but if you are talking that, okay, my company, okay, we are building a massive prototype for this, and then I'm acquiring 24/7, I'm busy acquiring new skill and apply my skill, then it is job is an opportunity. You're considering, your friends are considering that as an opportunity. But the moment you start looking at, okay, am I getting 6 lakhs, 12 lakhs, 15 lakhs, or okay, is this in Bangalore city, or is it in hi-fi building? Okay, all of that, then you're considering that as a gift, because gift, you start as a kid, what you do when a gift comes, daddy, this gift is not good. Okay, mummy's gift is good. Okay, and my friends gave me this is better than you. So that comparison comes when you consider job as a gift. Okay, that's the reason.
Fair enough, Ram. So what I would suggest that to the audience is that you're just trying to tell them that gift yourself an opportunity to grow.
Absolutely.
So
first
do
job,
not look at it as a gift, but rather gift yourself an opportunity to grow, hone the skills, and be successful. You know, that is where I think the cycle will be complete. Moving on, can we have the next slide, please?
Yeah.
This is a quick conceptual introduction that I would like to make it to Ram so that, you know, he can take you deeper into the understanding of this. It's a very important concept that as a young student or a graduate that you should know. It's a newer concept. I'm actually bringing your concentration level a little higher. Please focus on how this concept is going to be conceived by you. It's not an easy one. So I really request all of you to give your complete attention, especially to this concept, buyer concept as compare or versus the seller concept. Ram.
Okay. So let's look at our life, right? So most of you have joined this webinar, okay? And here, me and probably Prashant and Akshay, we are playing a role called panelists along with Basu. Basu is administering. You are the attendees, okay? So every day, every minute, we play roles, okay? So when you are at home with your parents, you are a son or a daughter to the parents, okay? And your behavior there is entirely different from when you come to the class and attend as a student, okay? And your behavior in the class is entirely different when you come with your classmates to the canteen and you're talking or chit-chatting, okay? Here you're playing a role of a friend, okay? In the classroom, you're playing the role of a student, okay? At home, you're playing the role of a son or daughter, right? So, and if you are with your sister or brother, you play the sibling role. Every time we keep changing our behavior depending on with whom we are in. In fact, it is so evident when you are alone with your mother, your behavior is entirely different when you are with both mother and father, and your behavior is entirely different when you are only with your father. So this role playing by us is common, and now you need to understand what is this buyer role. Okay, so all along till now, if you are studying, so you have experienced a role called a buyer. Okay, you go to a shop and you buy a chocolate, you pay money, okay, and you buy a chocolate, you are a buyer there, right? You go to a restaurant, you pay money and you buy your breakfast. There you are a buyer, okay? You go to a school, you pay fee and you buy that school experience, okay? You go to a hospital, you pay. So everywhere we are buying, okay? That is the reason we have within our DNA a buyer syndrome. I call this as a buyer syndrome because whenever you are buying, you have an expectations on the other side. Okay, if you put a 30 seconds time and look at when was you were worried or got extremely annoyed, probably you may find that when you are trying to buy something. Okay, when you go to a restaurant and the dosa that you ordered is not tasty at all. Okay, you will be extremely annoyed. Let's say the plate in which the dosa is served is not clean. You will shout at the top of your voice. Okay, and if let's say you are waiting for half an hour and there is one more guy who has come just 10 minutes before, and instead of serving you a meal to you, he has served to the other person who has come late. Okay, and you get annoyed because as a buyer, you have an unwritten law embedded in us saying that if I pay money or if I go first, I need to be served first. There is no legal rule that they have put, okay, anywhere saying that, okay, buyer who comes first will be served first. It's not, there's no rule, okay? There's no government rule. But even then, your expectation as a buyer is, I came first, please serve me first. Why the hell you are serving the other person? That is coming because you have a buyer syndrome. So everywhere you go, okay, everywhere you go as a buyer, you evaluate this place. Okay, so you go to a restaurant and say, this is not good. Okay, this is not worth the money. Okay, and you go to another restaurant, even though it is very small restaurant, cheaper, but if the food is tasty, you say, this is tasty food. This is better than that. That is better than this. All these comparisons come. This school is better than this. Or when you are in the college, you say, this teacher is better. Okay, that teacher is not better because you paid money and purchased that seat. Okay. Can you go back to the slide, please? Back slide. So now you understand, okay? Now you understand you are a buyer everywhere. But have you ever looked at when you are applying for a job, are you a buyer or are you a seller? Okay. This is where you need to understand when you are applying for a job, a first job, are you selling something or are you buying something? Just because companies come to you doesn't mean that they're selling something to you. Okay, this is the biggest concept that a lot of students, lot of people have misconcept saying that, okay, whenever I'm going to this, I need the respect given by them. Okay. And I need to be served first. Okay. And why should I wait here? Okay. And why are they asking this question? I defend. All those things are coming because you're thinking you are in the same mode. For the last 20 years, 15 years, you've been in the buyer syndrome. Wherever you go, you buy. You never experienced what is meant by seller. Okay. You never experienced on the other side of the board. But this is the first time, if you want to get a job, you need to understand it is the company which has come forward to buy something. It is not you who is buying. Because company is paying you money. Because company is paying you money, how you have as a buyer, you always, what is the quantity of this? This is tasty or not? Okay. And this teacher is teaching me well or not? This lab is not good. This canteen is not good. This classroom is not good. There is no AC. All these things will reverse actually. It is the company that looks at it. Are you well dressed or not? Have you come on time or not? Do you have patience levels or not? Have you had good skills? Are you honest? Are you not honest? Okay. Where is the place you are putting things which you don't know, you are telling whether you know it or not? All of these analysis happens on the reverse side, not you who do the thing. The moment they come to your college means, okay, they're capable. It's a company. Okay. If they're recruiting, they establish themselves as the buyer. It is just that you are, as a student, not aware that you are the seller. Okay. This is where I want everyone to change your perspective that you are the seller and need to understand what are you selling. Okay. So in the last concept, go to the next slide. So here I want everyone to understand you are a seller. Okay. When you are looking for a job. Okay. And what are you selling? Go to the next job. You are selling your skills and attitude to the companies. Okay. Without having skills, without developing the attitude, if you are trying to sell, the buyer will understand. Okay. Buyer knows how to judge, how to see, how to get the things. Okay. So, so this is where the biggest change that we want you to understand. You are a seller and you are selling your skills. You are selling your attitude. And if you don't have skills, it is the right time for you to concentrate on acquiring those skills, acquiring those attitude, because if you have these both, okay, if 10 people come to me into my company and show that these are the skills that they have, this is the attitude that they have, I will recruit at least 8 of them. Today, what is happening is companies are coming, interviewing 250 people, 500 people, because they're not able to find the skills and attitudes that they're looking for. They take only 3 people, 5 people, okay, and 10 people or 1 person and leave the company. But if you build your skills and your attitude, their hit ratio will be very high. They interview 20 people, they can take 10 people and walk away. And small and medium companies will come and they pick if you have skills and attitude. So that's the reason when you go back after this thing, you need to now look at it, why you are getting upset when you are buying something and what should you sell if you are selling your skills. Okay. So if this is clear, okay, so I would like to let you know what type of jobs and what type of companies are available and how do you choose what skills are required for what type of jobs and how do you prepare for it. So as a student, you may think that every company is same, okay, and every job is same, okay, and when I get a job, they will have to train me, and without training, can you go back, please? Okay, so they go back, no, go back, yeah.
Yep.
So when you go for a job, you need to understand what is this company and what is the job, okay. So I basically divide them into 2 different types of jobs. Is operational and tactical jobs or non-operational and creative jobs. Many of you may not be aware, okay, that why do IT companies pay more salaries than non-IT companies? A lot of people don't know. At the end of this, I'm going to tell you why IT companies pay more salaries than non-IT companies. Okay. So before that, let's understand what are these operational jobs and non-operational jobs. So an operational job is something which is well defined on what to do, how to do, and it is repeatedly being done again and again, day after day, week after week, month after month. Okay. Classic example that you can see is when you go to a bank, okay, the teller that you see, okay, all the people who are the employees of the bank are typically their jobs are operational in nature. That means they get trained for 1-2 months and how to do, what to do, and they will be doing for the whole year the same task. Okay, so loan application form. So they know what to check on the loan application form and where to feed the loan application form and where to get the approval and then what to communicate to the customer. All of them is trained. And then you are a cashier. So you know, after 1 month, 2 months, they ship the loan applicant to loan desk person to the cashier. Cashier, he knows, okay, he takes the check and checks in the bank whether the balance is there or not. Okay, counts the currency and gives it. So you see these operational jobs are repetitive in nature and trainable and easy to do. And one of the biggest advantages of operational job is they're 9 to 5. After 5, they close shop and throw you out of the office, go and spend your time at home, is the typical nature of an operational job. Okay. And these operational jobs, typically even call center jobs, you have 8 hours time. After 8 hours, your bus will be waiting and your seat will be occupied by the next person. Okay. Most of the operational jobs are time bound and you do the same task and you get trained on the task. And again, you are measured based on how many number of tasks that you can do within that time. Okay. Or you do whatever customers come. So if a bank is there, 5 o'clock or 4:30 sharp, he closes the door. Whoever is inside the bank, he serves and walks away. If there are no customers, 5 o'clock sharp, they close and go home. Okay. They have to make about 10 minutes entries and go home. So operational jobs are typically trainable and they have good salaries. Entry-level salaries are okay, but not bad. And there is one advantage, which is work-life balance. There is another advantage, which disadvantage, because all of these operational jobs get shifted from high-cost areas to low-cost areas. Okay. For example, call center jobs came to India because it is expensive to run a resource in US, but the same task can be trained here and done in India. Now from tier 1 cities like Bangalore, Mumbai kind of thing, which is becoming very expensive, they've gone to the second run cities like Vizag, all those areas. Now, because India is becoming expensive, they've moved to Philippines. So you have 2 challenges here. One is the jobs get shifted to the low-cost destination or low-cost other country, which is offering the same thing at a lower price, or most of them get automated. So as you get 10 years experience, 15 years experience, okay, your salary hikes will be very nominal and you have to be happy with the work-life balance, etc. But at the same time, whenever you become very expensive after 10 years or 12 years, whenever you become expensive, they will try to hire the freshers and again build them. Okay, so this is what I call them as operational jobs. Operational jobs are typically easy to get, okay, very easy to get, one, and they don't look for too many skills. They look for communication skills and good scores in your academics, and then you are in. If you're able to show some good attitude, you are in for it. But operational jobs have got this. Automation will take over because every time company wants to reduce the cost of running the business, they will try to see what is the best option. So automation is one, and as well as moving to low-cost destination is the threat for operational jobs. So when you are looking and evaluating for jobs, you need to look at it. Am I a work-life balanced person? Am I content with the salary story for the next 10 to 15 years? And then you need to choose for the operational job. But look at the non-operational job. Okay. So in the last example that I gave, nurse and doctor, nurse is the operational job. She does the same thing for enough number of times in her lifetime. 10 years, 15 years, 13 years, 20 years, 30 years, till she retires, she'll be doing very similar. Very rarely some new medicine comes, how to give that medicine or how to operate that new equipment that has come. Everything. If you look at the BP machine, right? The BP that she checks, maybe for the last 15 years, it's the same BP machine. You tie it up to the left-hand side and do it. Nowadays, even temperature, there have come some new tool has come. Okay. Instead of putting into your mouth, they're putting, okay, here and then taking it. It has become easier. Okay. Not even tougher. It has become now easier. So this is what we define as operational or tactical jobs. But what are these non-operational jobs? First and foremost, any job nowadays that is coming in the IT sector, okay, predominantly it is a non-operational job or creative job. Okay, and IT companies pay you very good salaries because there is a demand there. Okay, every month, every year, your phone is changing, new features are coming. Okay, and new technologies are coming. If new technologies are coming means somebody is developing new technologies on a daily basis, weekly basis, monthly basis. So there is a demand for IT professionals to continuously learn on a daily basis, weekly basis, because this demand is not there in manufacturing jobs, not there in operational jobs. Okay, the salary levels are not very high, but because there is a huge need for the IT professionals to learn continuously, the job, okay, the salaries are also very high, but there is again a catch here. What is the catch? Until unless you show the skill, they won't give you money. On the operational job, they're confident. You know good English language, you know you have good scores. I know how to train you and how to use you. But here, in non-operational jobs, you have to apply your brain, and skill development requires applying your brain. You are valued when you develop your skill, learn, and you have a learning skill. Okay, non-operational jobs will be looking for that. And until unless you prove, they don't want to pay standard salaries. Companies won't say that, okay, my standard salary is 30,000. Whomever I'm recruiting, I will do. No, you say, okay, boss, you just show me for the first 6 months, first 3 months, whether you're capable or not. Then I will look at whether I can hire you, because it is a mind game. Do you have mind or not? Very difficult to figure it out. And also, I cannot build certain skills overnight like operational jobs.
True.
I'm not confident because dance, singing, okay, I cannot teach you dancing and singing and make everyone a dancer, everyone a singer. It is not possible, because you need to have interest, you need to have practice, you need to work hard to build that skill. Okay, and that is the reason non-operational creative jobs, which are typically IT, okay, have a different method of hiring. Okay.
So you need to dance to the tunes of how you build your skills and choose whether you are an operational job seeker or a creative job seeker. Wonderful, Ram. Moving ahead, can we go to the next slide, please? Yeah.
Okay. So in this context, okay, so that because we understood now what are operational jobs, non-operational jobs. Typically in non-operational jobs, you have a lot of learning opportunities. Okay. And Napoleon Hill is the one of the big authors. Millions of copies of his book, How to Become Rich, have been sold. So there is a big saying that if you are earning and not learning, you are losing the significant part of your remuneration. Okay. When you are working in a company, if you are getting 10,000 rupees, but you're not learning anything, you're losing more than 10,000 rupees working there. If you are getting 1 lakh rupees, but you're not learning, you're losing more than 1 lakh rupees, okay, in that job by staying in that job. So vice versa, if you twist it, if you are not making any money in a job or internship, still you are learning a lot. That means you are earning the significant part of your remuneration is coming to you. Okay. This particular part people don't tell, but this is a big saying in the world. Okay. Saying that if you are earning and not learning, you are losing the significant part of your remuneration. That's the reason the youngster, when he wants to get into a job, he needs to look at his learning part, which is the bigger remuneration than the earning part. And the earning part, wherever you want, you can look at it. As I said, it takes about 3 years for anybody to become a competent person. So for the first 3 years, you should look at which is the company which can make me learn more. How can I build my skills and how can I convert my skills into competencies? Then you can look at it after 3 years. How do I make money? What is my my money earning part? Okay. And parallelly, if you don't look at, then also if you're only looking at earning and not learning, and you will again get into a junction about 12 years later where you become obsolete. Okay, you become obsolete. So on operational jobs get shifted to cheaper destinations, whereas in non-operational jobs, if you don't learn, you become obsolete day by day. Year after year, you become obsolete. At some point, if your obsolescence makes the company think that you are no more suitable for us, and you're no more worth paying the money, and they create a situation where you have to leave the company. That is when you get into a junction. That junction, okay, again, this is because you have not concentrated on learning from 3rd year to 9th year or 12th year, you get into that situation. But if somebody who is continuously learning, even after getting the 3rd year passing also, he will get into the next level after 12 years. Okay, that's how we say learning is the significant part of your remuneration, and look for that in the first 3 years rather than all the perks that you're looking at, big salary, big fat salary, or let's say big building, okay, and amenities, what kind of a chair I sit, what kind of a dress they will provide me, and how much canteen, what all foods canteen is offering. All of that is of no use if you are not learning.
Wonderful, wonderful. So it's like earn and learn and earn. It goes both ways. Wonderful. Can we go to the next one, please? So we'll skip this. Kindly the next one.
Any questions have come in the chat? Okay, you can.
I think what we have done is, Ram, we've been taking it, I think Basu is answering them. So we will get into the topics because we have 2 more to cover.
Sure. Okay.
So now here is a very interesting topic about recession. The world talks about it and everybody's, worried. There is a thought like what's going to happen next. There could be economic crisis. But here is some good news that all of you young people will hear pertaining to this topic. And I'll open this to Ram again. Kindly go for it, Ram.
Yeah, go to the next slide. Okay, now let's understand. First, we need to understand what is normal, what is boom time, what is recession time. Okay, so I don't take directly, let's not enter into this, but let's say you are living in a city. Okay, and you landed in the city midnight at 12 p.m., 12 noon or 12 a.m. midnight. You landed in the railway station and you are alone. Okay, you came out, now you have to go to your house, which is about, let's say, 5 kilometers. Let's say during the daytime, if you take a auto from there, maybe 5 kilometers, 20 rupees if you take it, or 5 into 20, okay, 100 rupees is the meter fees. But government says you pay 1.5 times because less opportunities are there. So 1.5 times. But have you ever noticed when you land really, will the auto driver take you, say that, okay, I'm putting my meter 1.5 times, you pay me and let's go home. This doesn't happen. Okay. What does happen? Basically, there will be 5 or 6 auto drivers. One guy will say, pay me 400 rupees. Another guy will say, don't pay 300 rupees. But he will never come. Very rarely you see somebody coming at 150 rupees or on a meter. Okay. So that means, is this boom time for the auto driver? Because he's getting more money than what he is getting during the daytime. Or is it the recession time during the daytime for him because he's only getting 100 rupees or 20 rupees per day? Okay, look at this. So it is not a boom time. It is not a recession time. Both we cannot consider that is a recession. This is a boom. Okay. We call that as an exploitation of the situation by the auto driver in the night if he is asking more money. Okay, now let us look at what is normal time. We have engineers who are graduating in mechanical engineering, civil engineering, computer science engineering, and then electronics engineering. I'm giving you a normal situation where a metallurgical engineer, a computer science engineer says, I want to apply for this metallurgical engineering job. Think about this situation. A computer science graduate got 75%, 80% marks, and he wants to go and get into metallurgical job. Okay, there's Vizag steel plant, which requires metallurgical engineers. He applies for it saying that I have computer science, I'm a best graduate in this. Will they accept? For sure, they won't accept. Is it a recession there? That's the reason they're not accepting, or is it a normal not to accept? Because it is normal to not to accept, okay, computer science graduates, electronic graduates into the role that requires metallurgical engineering. But here is a situation where there is IT companies which are allowing civil engineers, mechanical engineers, electronic engineers, okay, electrical engineers to come and do the job. If you have a skill, they say, come and do. Does this mean, is there a boom, recession, or is it a normal condition? As long as a civil engineer, mechanical engineering engineer, okay, and a metallurgical engineer is able to, okay, the last employee who joined in our company is a civil engineer. We took her. She got some training in skill development somewhere and she got in. So that means it is a boom time even now for everyone. In IT world, it is a boom time. There is no recession. But where is the recession? Why the word recession is coming? Okay, because there is an obsolescence of some skills. Okay, so every time you have, as I said earlier, 3 years and 3 years to 12 years, you have not learned any skills and you become expensive. Okay, and you are getting out of the company. Okay, and they don't get again the 12-year experienced guys. When they lose their job, they won't easily get a job because the junctions, there are 3 junctions that you need to understand. Freshers, 3-year experienced, and 12-year experienced. Freshers, there is a lot of opportunities. You have to have skill, you have to have attitude, you should be affordable. So let's say you have a very good skill, you have an attitude, but you ask for 50,000 rupees per month, okay, 1 lakh per month, you are not affordable because 12-year experienced guys who are getting 1 lakh and 2 lakh are being removed because they are becoming expensive. And you are also coming and asking more money. That means you are expensive. So for a skilled person, okay, so for a fresher, the entry point is very competitive. But let's say you have 3 years of experience. There are hundreds and thousands of companies which recruit 3 years to 6 years experienced resources. These are the companies which may not recruit freshers. There are one set of companies which recruit only freshers and many freshers and less number of experienced people. But there are companies which doesn't even recruit 1% of their workforce is freshers, but all of them are experienced.
Wonderful.
These are the companies which use your skills and make money and give you money. But these are the companies which doesn't push you to build your skills and acquire more and more skills. That's the reason when you stay there after 12 years, they feel that you have become obsolete. And then instead of having this 12-year experienced guy, paying him 2 lakhs, 3 lakhs per month, I will anyhow take 3 years experienced guy and replace him. 1:4, 1:2, they replace and they get within 3 months, come into the good shape and they run the business. That's the reason there are a lot of opportunities for 3+ years to 5 years experience, 3 to 6 year experience. A lot of opportunities are there. So you usually get the job.
Right.
9 to 12 years, you keep losing. A lot of people lose jobs because there are no that many number of companies that are required. That many people are not required. That is the reason if there is a recession, okay, if 100 people lose jobs, if there is no recession in that 9 to 12 years range and getting replaced with, let's say, 2,000 people or 3,000 people, if there is a recession, instead of 1,000, they will remove 2,000. When they remove 2,000, they replace with 2,000 or 4,000 people here. So the opportunities for freshers will be much higher when there is a recession and not when they don't have recession. So recession is actually going to help the freshers. But again, the catch is, do you have the skill? Do you have the attitude? How much of time and effort you have put in acquiring a skill so that you can showcase that I have acquired this skill on my own or with my own money, with my own time, with my own these things. And that is the benchmark for the small and medium companies which are going to recruit more and more freshers. Okay. Look at another impact on the recession. So when recession comes, large companies will lose large jobs. But those large jobs will be allocated or given to smaller companies. Okay. Let's say $1 million job that during boom time, if a company charges $1 million, they say, now I can't pay $1 million. Can you do it for $500,000? And they say, big companies say, no, I can't take less than $1 million. I don't take it. Then this job goes to the smaller and medium companies at $500,000, where $500,000 guy will go and get the fresher and give him enough opportunity to build your skill if they have an attitude. So there is, in fact, more jobs for freshers if there is a real recession in the industry.
Brilliant. So no wonder we're saying recession for freshers is all green. Right. So Akshay, could you just quickly throw your, couple of points on your thoughts on recession and the mindset that the graduates need to have?
Sure. Yeah. So as I said, as Ram said, and as I've stated earlier, see, for fresh graduates, there is no dearth of opportunities, and the opportunities are endless, and sky's the limit. So employers, often they seek for skilled individuals who who can be hired at a lower cost, compared to experienced professionals. So they would rather, as Ram said, if I have to recruit, say 20 experienced candidates, I would rather go and hire 50 freshers in place of experienced candidates, so that they come at the lower cost. So I can hire those skilled individuals who can be hired at a lower cost compared to experienced professionals who have to be paid a higher salary, right? So the odds of getting a job for fresh graduates, I always feel, is quite high. However, so I think they have to put their best foot forward and then look for opportunities. So basically, what I'm trying to say is, make use of the opportunity. Don't look for any other perks or any other benefits you get. First, make use of the opportunity. In fact, just to give you a reference here from my next step expert whom I have interviewed, Shilpi Das Chauhan, who's a voiceover maestro. She says, voiceover is like owning a business, and you're being paid for every word uttered by you. See, voiceover it's such a nice business. It's your master of your own business. So you are owning that business. So it's the primary focus. She says the primary focus for any starter who has taken up voiceover as a profession, or voiceover as a career, should always be delivering flawless content and gaining the confidence of the client.
Right? We just have a minute of the session, and we have covered what is required in terms of what is the entire thing that is available for the freshers on recession. We just hope that we have a very clear roadmap laid down for all of them. And please visit the website, download the manual for you, which we have created. So these are the takeaways that you will have. We have some free assessment that you could do on CoSet. And there are sessions that you would like to take for 10 minutes for all of you. We just have to rush through this, but all said and done, we have given the maximum amount of time and the value system that we could share. And do not look back on recession. There's nothing for the fresh graduates. On that note, I thank Ram and all the participants who are part of this. Thank you, Akshay. Thank you, Ram. Thank you, Basu, and the entire team there. Thank you very much.